right, everybody. We got our good buddies Lake and Jordan from Primos. How y'all doing, boys?
Doing good.
Where y'all at right now?
Fantastic.
Where y'all at?
I'm sitting in the parking lot of a little strip mall in Flora because if we tried to do this from the Flora office, I would not have any service.
And I'm in my hunting bedroom trying to figure out what I'm supposed to be packing to go on this hunt.
Yeah, tell everybody where y'all are about to head and what's about to start if they don't know.
So,
Thank you, Jordan.
2 days we're going west, and we're going elk hunting in New Mexico. And the weather out there right now is really, really cold, and it normally isn't. And so I think it's supposed to be like 28 degrees tonight, late, and in the 30s the rest of the week.
Yeah, like stupid cold.
Headgum. And then, I mean, we were out in the Dove Field with y'all yesterday afternoon, and what was it, probably about like high 80s, low 90s?
Yeah, for sure, hot.
Y'all
Hot.
Y'all don't get sick and then come back with the sniffles and end up with the COVID.
Man, I think I had the first case of it last year. We went out there. I was down and out.
Yeah.
Look. Jordan has been claiming that he had the coronavirus last September, and he will not let go of that claim.
I mean, they do say that it's been here longer than we know.
When you lose your taste, you just lose it. You know what I mean?
I don't know. He has been listening to Nickelback at that time, so he might have lost his taste.
Look at this photograph.
That's a zinger. Good band. That's an excellent band.
Dude, that's awesome. Well, tell us about do y'all do anything like in preparation for elk? Because I know for y'all, because basically to our viewers, these guys just tell us kind of like what y'all do at Premo, just so we can kind of get a little backstory about what y'all do at that company. Because I know you wear a lot of hats.
Lake, we pretty much do the same thing Lake and I do, but he can explain it.
Yeah, so I've been at Primos for 6 years now. Jordan, you've been there for 4, right? 4?
Yes.
And both of us, we were in the video team, what they call it. There's 6 of us, Jordan and myself, Troy Ruiz, Jimmy Primos, Will Primos, and Brad Ferris.
And Slade.
And Slade Reeves, who is the primary editor. And so what we'll be doing, or what we do, is so we have the television show on Outdoor Channel. Then we have the Primos Hunting YouTube channel. All of our social channels, Instagram and Facebook, and the podcast, obviously. And so Jordan and I, we are videographers. That's primarily what we do. We do a little bit of editing. A lot of the editing we do is for YouTube stuff and stuff that'll go on our social pages. And then, so for this elk trip, I think most of the day-to-day, if you were to walk into where my office is, it looked like somebody's camera bag exploded because I was going through everything, trying to make sure I had all my gear for filming the upcoming hunt. And so there's 2 sides of it, right? There's you got to have all your stuff to film, all your cameras, your batteries, still camera, video camera, GoPro, Handycam, tripod, chargers, all that stuff. And then you got to make sure you got to have your stuff to hunt with. You got to have all the right camouflage, the right boots, the right socks. You got to make sure that your bow's tuned in because both Jordan and I have tags this year.
Hey.
So there's a lot that goes into it. I do a pretty good job of stressing myself out in this little area right before we leave because I'm scared to death of showing up in New Mexico and forgetting something.
Don't worry, son. I'll have you covered.
Dude, no, I mean, tell us kind of because I know y'all season, our Primo season for y'all is okay, beginning of September, we go elk hunting and we don't stop till pretty much the end of May for turkey season. Y'all are pretty much consistently on the road, so y'all understand a lot of the same struggles that we kind of go through, pre-COVID obviously, but being on the road all the time and being away from family. Tell us about some places that y'all have kind of been and what's kind of been the funnest experiences y'all have had out there.
You go first on this one, Jordan.
Shoot, I have probably my favorite trip's usually the last one I went on, you know. I mean, I've had some bad ones, of course, but, man, I've had so many good experiences all over. I mean, if you pick which animal, of course, you know, if you say we're going elk hunting, what's your favorite trip? Well, it's going to be this one because this the place we've got to hunt over the last few years out there in New Mexico, it's a very special place to us just because we got so much history there, you know, and man, you talk about whitetails pretty much somewhere in the south, you know, in the Mississippi River floodplain or somewhere like that. And, man, I don't have a special turkey place. Anywhere I can go and hear one or have a chance to shoot one, I'm going, you know.
Is there anything that you boys have yet to hunt that you want to hunt, or is that a dumb question?
Moose. I want to hunt a moose.
That is on my bucket list, has been since I've been a little bitty kid. I want to go to the Yukon and moose hunt and do the grizzly thing with a bow.
Go ahead, Lake.
And then, so like, I think it was two years ago, we got invited to go on a hunt in New Zealand. And I'd always wanted to go to New Zealand just because I'd seen like all the, well, first off, just like to show what little nerd side I had, I was like, watched all the Lord of the Rings growing up.
Dude, I was about to say that because I remember that those things were filmed there.
Yeah. And so that's what I thought. Like, I was like, man, that place looks beautiful. And so then I saw like some of the hunts and stuff that went over there. I was like, man, I'd love to go to New Zealand. So then we got invited to go. And, everyone or I shouldn't say everyone, but most of the time when you hear about hunting in New Zealand, you hear about stag or red deer, same thing. And don't get me wrong, like I would go and do that, but we hunted, it's called a tar. And it's kind of like, I guess you could relate it to a mountain goat here. But it's this big, it's just this big goat, got like this long black fur and mane thing, and where they live at is just absolutely crazy. And when we got to go hunt those things, I just got so intrigued by them and where they live and how they make a living. So I would love to go back to New Zealand one day and bow hunt a tar. So that's a bucket list item for me.
That sounds like an awesome hunt, Lake.
Thank you, Jordan.
Dude, it's funny, like, being around y'all guys, and, I mean, this is kind of, like, it's funny because we didn't all Charlie just officially met Lake yesterday, and then Jordan bailed out early on the dove hunt we were all on, so
Thanks, Jordan.
It was kind of a weird thing because, one, we were, like, racing back to Nashville to just get on the air and talk to y'all again after we just saw y'all, so I was like, this is going to be funny, Lake was leaving last night. I was like, all right, I'll talk to you tomorrow. But no, like I remember because I've been a fan and like growing up in South Alabama and then also went to school in Mississippi. Charlie's, fiance is from Mississippi. Like being in Primos is such like a down south thing for a lot of us growing up, like seeing the products and stores and everything. So we've always been like fans. And so it's just kind of like, with the outdoor industry, I'm kind of like, I wonder if these guys are as cool as they are on air. And then I was like going, on the fly, go to Maine with y'all. And I've really never even met y'all besides having a couple phone conversations with Lake. And so I was just like, all right, here we go. And then we shared, this ratty motel room for 4 days, and we can get into that. But so we go up to Maine to hunt turkeys in June. And it was cool because y'all were literally how y'all talk on y'all's podcast, which everyone go listen to their podcast is awesome too. I listen to every episode pretty much, but anyways, I was like, I wonder if they're like as cool as they sound are, and y'all literally how y'all mess with each other like we're doing now. It's like the same everywhere, so that's kind of like a cool thing, and I think that's what makes it so relatable.
Jordan's like Jordan. Well, I already have an older brother, but I like my older brother that is actually my brother. Jordan's like the brother I didn't want.
Thanks a lot. I'm just trying to mold you into a good man, Lake.
I appreciate it.
So since you guys work so closely together, like we would consider you guys a duo, and we're a duo as well. We work closely together in pretty much every day. I oftentimes when we're on the road, I see Gary more than I see my own wife. So what are some of the things that you guys, for Gary and I personally, we work off of each other really well, which makes us work together well. What are some of the things that you guys have to experience, on the road or on a hunt, on a field, on a mountain, wherever it is where you guys kind of get to play off each other and, succeed off of each other in that way?
I really want to hear Jordan's answer to this. I really.
Well,
Please.
I mean,
Jordan, go first.
As far as working off of each other, like Lake and I hardly ever go turkey hunting without both of us. Like we go turkey hunting even when we're not filming together, because like we've got to spend so much time. I'm just like you, Gary. I spent more time with Lake in the last 4 years than I have my wife.
Yeah.
And
Lucky him, right?
Yeah, I mean, we shared a bedroom together for 4 months out of the year for 4 years. So, but I mean, like when we go turkey hunting together, it's pretty cool because like we don't even have to talk to each other. We just know what to do and how to work a turkey, or try to anyway.
Well, it was kind of funny because I actually got to experience that, which was a cool thing. And like, because that last day we were in Maine and how we ended the season the last day, and I got to kill, my bird after y'all had killed y'all's. And it was just cool to see how that whole thing worked out. Like it was like this 3-man scramble right in the last minute. Jordan, finesses this bird in, and then he's starting to move one way, and then Lake's back, and he just rakes the leaves a little bit with his hand. And, like, they both knew to do that, and then just turns the turkey the other way. Came about 35 steps, and it was game over. And I was just like, it's just cool to see. And I remember, like, you've even told me, it's like, y'all just think a lot alike, like you were talking about, like, in the woods. Like, it goes without saying. It's like, we've done this so much together. It's just, like, on the same wavelength. And I can imagine, the struggles that come with the filming aspect of that whole thing as well. Because at the end of the day, like, instead of Charlie and I go turkey hunting or deer hunting. It's like we're out there to have fun, but y'all gotta like get a product together, and so which changes the whole aspect like of hunting for y'all. So like, kind of tell us like some of the struggles that bringing that camera in, to the woods with y'all instead of just going in there and hunting a turkey or hunting any sort of thing.
Dude, the first thing that's coming to my mind is mine and your debacle turkey hunt this year, Lake. You can tell that story.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it can. Like that's what I tell folks that all the time when they ask me about filming, because I know I have friends and I've talked to several people that they kind of film as a hobby, which is great. Like that's definitely something you can do. But I always tell them, like, man, trust me, it changes when filming isn't a hobby. Like this, this is how I make my living. It's how me and Jordan both do. So it was in the first week of the Mississippi turkey season, and Jordan and I were hunting on a place that I had permission on. And I had actually, just me in particular fashion of me doing things that only me would do, I'd already spooked the turkey off the limb one day and was not happy about that. And then we go in there, it was a few days later, and we set up on this turkey, and it was frankly, it was a crappy turkey morning as far as hearing gobbling off the roost goes. They didn't gobble at all. But we were set up on the edge of a clear cut, and I remember Jordan and I both heard something, and we agreed that was the sound of a turkey flying down. And so we both kind of were like, all right, get ready. We think they could pop up anywhere. So the story goes, the turkeys pop out in this little road that we're sitting on that goes through the cutover. And I remember there was a couple hens. There was 2 or 3 longbeards. I'm trying to remember, but I know there was 2 for sure. And I'm watching them, the hunter and the cameraman, whoever's doing what role, it's absolutely crucial that you can communicate with one another. And Jordan and I are talking, and I'm like, they're right, we're whispering, obviously, but I'm like, gobbler's right there coming up the road. And we had a strutter decoy set up, and they got, from my view, I'm behind the gun, from my view, they got about probably 30 yards from the decoy, 30 yards from me with the gun, and just locked up. And I'm thinking, they didn't spook, but they were just kind of standing there. They weren't coming any closer. And I'm just sitting there waiting on Jordan to tell me to shoot. And nothing happens for a while. I'm just sitting there. And finally I go, what do you want me to do? And Jordan says, pull the string, because this particular decoy that we have, it has a feature where you hook a string to it and you pull the string and the fan goes up and down. And he says, pull the string. I'm like, pull the string? The turkeys are 30 yards. But, I don't say that. The rule is the cameraman is the boss. You do what the cameraman says. So the cameraman says, pull the string. So I'm fiddling down there trying to find the string, pulling on it. Meanwhile, the turkeys see me moving, trying to pull the string. They start leaving away. Jordan still hasn't told me to shoot. I'm like, they're getting away. They're getting away. And finally I said, do you want me to kill him or not? And Jordan's like, oh, yeah. So anyway, I raise up to shoot and miss. And then come to find out, Jordan, looking through the viewfinder, Jordan never even realized the turkeys were in gun range. He thought they were like at 80 yards the whole time. He had no clue they were close.
Oh,
and so that's just the kind of things that can happen when you're filming. You just don't know. Granted, if we'd have been filming for fun or not filming at all, we would have shot. And I still could have very easily missed, because that's something that I do sometimes. But
yeah.
But yeah, filming it makes it more stressful. I can put it that way, but when it works out, it is pretty great.
Yeah, I mean, it is, because there's nothing like that timestamp memory that you could, like, go back and watch a film of something, like, and you're literally playing it back exactly how it went. But I was even, I think, telling you this weekend, like, I just bought that Sony 4K, and I was like, hey, I went out with John Langston and filmed for Velvet Season, and it wasn't even, like, a deer that was, like, we were even going to try to kill, like, some does walked in, and I remember I got in that viewfinder, and I was just in the zone for about 15 minutes, and then usually, like, start a season, I'm going to get excited, because I'm like, hey, it's, deer season's about to come back, deer in the field, they're in bow range, and it's just like I'm sitting in the viewfinder watching these birds, these deer, and I literally was like, oh, crap, after that whole thing ended, I was like, I wasn't even in the moment. I was just making sure, like, I had that thing in focus and everything. So I understand how it can sometimes even take that element of the actual, like, you're at the hunt, but you're not really in the hunt sometimes, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Oh,
like, there's several times, man, and this is not a good, like, tip for videography, but a lot of times if I'm, like, filming a turkey hunt, I love turkey hunting so much, if a turkey's coming in, like, I'll catch myself peeking around the viewfinder, not even to get a reference of, like, how far the turkey is. I just do it because I want to see the turkey with my own eyes, because like you said, if you're in that viewfinder so much, it's like you're somewhat disconnected from what's going on.
Yeah, no, totally. Well, like, what's another thing too? It's like, well, let's kind of go back even more so to, like, before Primos. Like, how do you get to this point where y'all are both working at Primos? Because I like, granted, I know y'all both grew up in Mississippi and y'all grew up doing all kinds of hunting, but, like, how did y'all get to, like, where we are today?
You want to go first, Jordan?
Sure. Well, man, mine started, like, I'd always watched the Premo stuff and loved all that, and, like, just any kind of hunting TV in general, And, like, growing up, I always took a handy cam with me to the woods and filmed my buddies and filmed myself and all kinds of stuff. But anyway, I went to school to be an electrician, actually. And I was working in a steel mill when I was, I guess, about 20. It was my second year of JUCO. And, I was sitting there and an ad popped up on Facebook. I was taking my 15-minute break. You get 4 of those during a 12-hour shift, by the way, and a 30-minute lunch. But anyway.
Yikes.
Man, I was sitting there and a Facebook ad popped up at a place called Giles Island. They were looking for guides. And I was like, shoot, I'm going to apply for this. And anyway, long story short, I ended up getting that position. And I started guiding deer hunts that fall. And you filmed all the hunts with that place. So you actually sat with the people doing it pretty much just like we do for TV. You sit with them and film the hunt. So I learned a lot about filming, whitetail hunts and stuff by doing that. And some of the guys from Mossy Oak came down there to do a TV show. And I got to meet those guys, and they, got to meet me, and we made an acquaintanceship. And about 6 months later, I was working at a Nissan factory during the summer trying to make ends meet while I wasn't guiding. And I got a phone call from the manager at Giles Island saying, that Mossy Oak had contacted him wanting to hire a camera guy and asked if he knew anybody that could do it. And he told him about me. And anyway, I went up there like 3 days later for an interview and got hired on the spot. And I didn't even show back up to work. So,
Yeah.
But I worked at Mossy Oak as a camera guy for their crew doing like Hunt the Country TV and all kinds of other stuff. But I did that for 3 years and ended up the girl I was dating at the time, now my wife, she grew up across the street from Lake. And like, I guess we'd been married 6 or 8 months, and she was wanting to get back home, and I was wanting to get closer to home too, just for the being closer to family, because I was 3 or 4 hours away from family up there. And I don't even remember how this went down. I think I texted you or something, Lake, and asked
you did.
if y'all ever had any positions, let me know. And long story short, that's how I ended up getting on, is because my gracious little brother Lakey got me hooked up.
Hey, love that.
Ain't nothing wrong with a hookup, baby.
I'm always taking care of Jordan, you know. Always taking care of him.
He never failed to let me forget that either.
That's right.
Yeah. If he ever gets mad at me for anything, or if I ever like want something from it, like I'm pretty sure there has been instances where he's like working his way through his second cookie at Subway, and I'm like, hey man, what are you gonna do with that cookie? And he won't want to give it to me. Like, how'd you get this job? I'll hit him with one of those.
You gotta have that leverage sometimes, man.
Yeah.
What about you, old Lake?
So, kind of, my story starts similarly to how Jordan's did. I grew up watching Primos, and it's the story that, like, I've told this story before, and I always say you can verify it with my mother if you need to. I was like 10 years old, and I was watching a Truth VHS tape, and she came in and was having, like, somehow she got into the conversation of, like, what do you want to do when you grow up? And I said, I want to go work for Primos. That's what I wanted to do. And so I did the thing a lot of guys like me did when we were like in high school. We'd like rob one of the, home cameras from the house that you used to film Christmas mornings with, and we'd take it to the woods and try to film a deer hunt or a turkey hunt or something, and just trying to do anything I could to be something like doing that. And I was in junior college at Hines Community College in Pearl, Mississippi, and a very good friend of mine named Keith Polk, he called me, and he was just talking, and he said, hey, have you ever heard of Midwest Whitetail? And I said, no, I've never heard of them. He said, well, you need to check them out. They do a web show. It's a semi-live show, which web shows and semi-live shows are not an uncommon thing now, but back in, this was 2011 or 2012 when I applied, they were kind of the first ones to do that, really.
Right.
And they had an internship program, and I just looked at it, and I was like, yeah, why not? The internship program was you move up there to southern Iowa, and you live up there for a whole deer season. They teach you how to run a camera, how to edit, just kind of everything that goes into building a hunt and, producing a hunt for a show. And I just applied, and little did I know, which a lot of how I ended up where I am was just the Lord watching out for me is all there is to it, because the year that I applied, they did their web shows regionally. They had like a Midwest show, a Northeast show, out West, all that kind of stuff. The year that I applied was the first year they were going to try to do a Southeast regional show, and I was the only kid from the Southeast that applied. And so, long story short, I called them for weeks after I turned in my application, just asking them if they'd considered me yet or looked at me yet, and they called me and said, hey, would you be willing to drive up here to do an in-person interview? And I was like, absolutely. So I drove up there, met with them, got hired, moved up to Iowa, I loaded up my little Chevy S10 and a U-Haul trailer and drove from Brandon, Mississippi to Albia, Iowa, and lived up there for 6 months. Loved those guys. Actually, the guys that I worked with mainly were Aaron Warburton and Greg Clements, who are with the Hunting Public now.
Yeah, we watch their stuff a lot.
Yeah, they're awesome. And Aaron and Greg, they taught me so much, and I still am very close friends with them. And Aaron, I owe a lot to Aaron, because I'd gone through the internship program. I'd gone back to school at Mississippi State, and I was in Starkville, and Aaron calls me and he says, "Hey, I just ran into Brad Ferris at the ATA and told him that, there was a kid that was pretty local for Primos that wanted to go to work, and he said he wanted you to email him." So I emailed Brad and kind of tell him who I am and what I've done, and I couldn't really do anything at the time because I was in school, but I ended up running into Brad we have a pretty small wildlife show in Jackson that we call the Wildlife Extravaganza, and I saw Brad at the Primos booth and said I should go introduce myself, let him put a name with the face. So I walk up there, and one thing that I can thank my parents for this. Usually if someone's heard my name before, it's so odd they don't forget it,
Yeah, 100%.
So as soon as I said I was Lake Pickle, he was like, "Oh yeah, you're the kid that's been emailing me." I was like, "Yeah, that's me." And little did I know it, but they had just had a big change in their video department. So I met Brad on a Sunday, moved back up to Starkville because we were supposed to start school back. He calls me on a Wednesday and was like, "Hey man, I don't want you to drop out of school or anything like that, but I'm asking if you'd consider putting it off because I need you to film an elk hunt in 2 weeks." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to do that." And so, it wasn't a very hard decision.
Yeah, no doubt.
But so yeah, I moved all my stuff out of Starkville, moved back home with my parents for a little while, and started at Primos on a contract basis. And then after the first elk season and first deer season, they hired me full time, and I've been there ever since. So take us back even farther. Like, let's pretend, you're back when you're a child. What was the moment for both of you guys that was your first hunting moment, or your first moment that really hooked you in to not just, obviously at that time you don't think that you're going to be able to do this for a living, but I'm sure you can pinpoint the moment where you were like, "Yo, I'm in love with this," or just was it the first moment that you shot your first animal or whatever it was? Yeah, Jordan, you want to go first or me? Either.
Get it, son. You on a tangent?
I'm on a tangent. I know how to run my mouth. I can get spun out sometimes. But so the other story, y'all heard me mention a guy named Keith Polk, the guy that called me and told me about Midwest Whitetail.
Right.
So I was 12 years old, and I met Keith through the church that I went through, and I saw a Primos hunting turkey video, and my family, they were deer hunters, but none of them turkey hunted, and so I stumbled upon this turkey video and I watched the hunt, and I was just like, the whole concept of the thing that I'm hunting, I'm communicating with. I'm hearing him call, and the turkey gobbles back, and he comes in, and I'm like, and I remember at first I was like, "Can you do this in Mississippi?" Like I had no concept, and but I met Keith at the church, and Keith was a turkey hunter, and so I just expressed to him, I was like, "Man, I would love to go, if you would ever take me." And so Keith, being the good guy that he is, he took me for the Mississippi Youth Weekend, and I can, like I said, that's been however many years ago now, and I can still close my eyes and picture that entire hunt. And we were just this beautiful, beautiful hardwood bottom, and this turkey comes strutting in to 30 yards, and I shot it, and I was hooked from that. That was my moment, 100%. As soon as that happened, I knew, like, just. I dove into hunting full bore after that. So that was my moment for sure.
What you got, Jordan?
Man, I really don't have a particular moment with me. I was lucky enough to be born in a family. My dad, man, he loves to deer hunt. He kind of similar to Lake's story too. He doesn't really turkey hunt and never did. But man, we just like, the thing that I remember most. It's not the hunting that I remember. It's going to deer camp on the weekends and hanging out with my buddies. That's a story in itself. There was a bunch of shenanigans that went on with that, a bunch of fights and all kinds of stuff. But man, I just remember going there, and that's what I look forward to all week. We were leaving, go down there. It wasn't but 20 miles from my house, but it was like you might as well be going 4 states over for a 10-year-old kid, you know. And man, that's really what put a passion for me for hunting. Probably is going to that camp and I just remember fellowshipping with everybody. I don't even think I ever killed a deer there, if I remember right. But it was just being in that atmosphere. Everybody, that's why they're there, to go hunt and hang out, you know. And I just grew up in it and always had a passion for it, really. And when I started bow hunting, I really got into it. I mean, I pretty much put down my gun for like 2 or 3 years there when I was in high school and college, and I just really got into the whole trying to get close to a deer with a bow, you know. And that's probably when I really got super passionate about hunting.
Yeah, that's one thing for me that I can honestly, you know, talk about too with bow hunting, is because I grew up in a pretty metropolitan area. Of Charlie and I both did in Mobile, and so there wasn't like go hop in the backyard and you know shoot rifles or go out there and shoot squirrels with 22s or a shotgun or something like that. So it was basically for me is like I had a friend give me a bow and I could shoot it in the backyard. So it's just like, okay, I just sat and I'd come out back from like baseball practice or like after school or on the weekends after cutting grass, and I'd just shoot. And then the first deer I killed was with the bow. And then I was like, you know, is it, 17 yards, and it turns broadside. And I was like, that feeling of that, the shakes and everything about it, and just the whole experience of that was just like, dude, it's euphoric. It's crazy how, that wave of emotions, comes through on that. And then it's a hook, line, and sinker, like how will affect, you're like, dude, I just want to do this again. Like what this feeling I just had, it's like, I gotta just keep coming back. And it's just like,
yeah.
I mean, that's even with turkey hunting too, because I'm relatively new to turkey hunting, and y'all know how much I just enjoy it now, and it's just awesome to see. And I've honestly learned a lot, even from that trip with y'all. I'm just like a student of it. I've been learning and just trying to get better. And I talk about it to these guys all the time till they're probably sick of hearing about it. And my fiance probably can't stand turkey hunting now, but it's just one of those things. I'll be like on my way back from Mississippi today, I'm just like in the car, like working on, different like kiki runs and all these different, types of, sounds with my mouth call and everything. And I'm on the highway driving, looking in fields, just like, it's ridiculous. But, I mean, that's just what it does to you, man. And it's just like, that was one thing during COVID, like we found something, that we were passionate about. But like, speaking of COVID, like how'd that affect y'all? Cause I mean, obviously for us especially, we couldn't go play shows, so it directly affected us. But I know like a lot of people had plans for hunts, but then, a lot of these states kind of changed some things around for out-of-staters to come. Did it like affect y'all's film schedule a lot?
Man, I think we had 3 trips we didn't get to make it on. But I think we were supposed to go to Oklahoma like the first week of April or something like that, and it just wasn't worth the risk at the time, to go. And like we wasn't going to stand it. We was going to go turkey hunt somewhere. So Lake and I had the bright idea to load our tent and stuff up and head to Tennessee, which that was a debacle all in itself. But yeah, I think we didn't get to go to New Mexico. And
Georgia, Georgia got canceled too.
We pretty much, I mean, we still got to hunt a lot and got to hunt more than we were supposed to, or state-wise, but like we just had to back up and hunt on a lot of them, reschedule stuff, and go to different places and whatnot.
Yeah, that's what we still hunted. We just had to kind of change where we hunted. Like we hunted in Mississippi more than I personally, and Jordan did too. I know all of us, we hunted in our home state more than we'd gotten to in years, which was honestly, it was a pleasure. Like I didn't mind that at all.
Yeah.
You sleep in your own bed a little bit more. That's one thing I got used to. I mean, it was just being able to just like I'd never been here so many weekends like in
just
my
having
life.
Somewhat of a schedule.
Yeah, it was just like
strange.
Yeah, Charlie's wife and I was actually talking to my fiance last night. She was like, "Golly, it feels like I'd only been gone for a day," and she's like, "It's just weird, like because you don't leave much anymore. Now when you leave, I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna go back to you being gone 4 days a week, while you're out on the road." So
that was something even with me, like getting to spend 2 months out in Texas. Whenever, like, I usually go out there for like 5-6 days, and that's it. Like I spent 2 straight months out there.
Yeah. And then y'all even went back during COVID. Y'all went up to Delaware,
we were up north watching you kill 1,000,001 birds, and I was like, "Holy crap! How many birds is Gary gonna kill?" Because I'm the damn Yankee here, guys. It's nice to meet you, Lake and Jordan. I've never hunted a day in my life. I'm from New York, and it's really cool to hear y'all talk about hunting stuff because I know nothing about it.
Yeah,
New York is on the to-do list in the near future.
Okay, hell yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to figure something out and get Matt on something. He's never killed anything.
It would be wild.
I taught him how to tie a fishing hook during COVID. So.
Yeah, I learned how to fish during COVID.
He's working his way up.
Did you enjoy it?
It was awesome. I caught a little fish. I struggled pulling it off the line.
He wouldn't pick it up. He kicked that thing back in the lake. He would not touch that fish.
It was a little guy too, but you can do a lot with 3 inches,
That's right.
Yeah. Well, kind of speaking of what are some, because there's a lot of correlations to what we do because we're both technically kind of in that entertainment industry, so to speak. So it's just like, what are some of those like kind of drawbacks to like you wake up like you were talking about, Lake, is like 10-year-old Lake says, I want to work for Primos, and that comes true. And like Charlie and I have been wanting to play music since we were, teenagers or, 13, 14 years old, and we're actually doing that. And so like talk about some of that blurred line between like passion and career, like that kind of like when it coincides, like how do you kind of like deal with those sort of things, if you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man, I guess when I was like in that phase where I was like because I was like a super like Primos fanboy. Like I bought the DVDs every year, and I remember thinking, like I'd see those guys that like watching the videos and the shows or whatever, and I remember thinking, I was like, man, if you ever make it to that point, like those guys just got it. Like they don't have any problems. I thought you just hit that point and like the rest of your life is just sunshine and rainbows,
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong. Like I wouldn't trade this job for anything. I love it. But there's like one thing you learn is no matter what you do in life, there's pros and cons to everything. And you're never going to hit a point in your life where there's not struggle and there's not stuff for you to figure out and more challenges for you to overcome. I mean, like there's no matter how long I do this, there's still going to be bills to pay. There's still going to be personal issues or family issues. I mean, it's a job just like everything else. I think one of the things that I've done as far as like mixing what you love with the job is kind of like what, Jordan and I mentioned earlier, like we'll make a point to go just hunting at some point, like no cameras, like just go fun hunting, to just kind of decompress and remind yourself why you fell in love with doing this in the first place, if that makes any sense.
No, it does.
It makes a lot of sense.
But it's kind of funny, like even in that goes to show how much y'all like hunting, because honestly, like if Charlie, and I go out and play shows and do that, like I'm not going to get back to Nashville and be like, hey, Charlie, you want to go play, just for fun, so it's like, it just kind of, it kind of like goes to show you're just like, golly, it's like even when y'all are working for hunting, you're like, all right, what are we going to do in our free time? Let's go hunting. Like, so
Jordan, you remember Ben's wedding?
Yeah.
So like, you tell that story.
Oh, you go ahead. It's kind of a blurry situation for me.
No, look, we had been filming, and like this is when we make it to like mid to late April, we like hit the phase of turkey season filming where we're like, all right, we're tired. Like, yeah. I still love turkey hunting, but I'm just physically tired.
100%.
And so we are in Iowa, and we are scheduled to be at it's our boss's wedding. That's what made it worse, is our boss who schedules our trips made his wedding in the middle of April. So we had hunted for 5 days, had to wake up at 1 a.m. and drive all the way to Mississippi, put a suit on, and go to his wedding. So we're exhausted.
Oh.
And we're at the reception. Like, at the reception, Jordan walks up to me and goes, "You want to go turkey hunting in the morning?" I'm like, "It's April. Of course we're going turkey hunting in the morning."
Dude,
that was the year that I hadn't killed a turkey too, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, it was.
that was why we went.
Yeah.
Hunted like 30-something days in Mississippi and didn't kill a turkey till the very last day.
Jordan was moping around. He looked like a 3-year-old that you just took his toy away. I mean, like he was in a depression.
That's wild.
Bad.
Well, I kind of got a little glimpse of, like, I mean, even y'all didn't even, like you're talking about fun hunts. Like, I know when we went to Maine, that was what that was for y'all. But it's like I kind of, like, saw a glimpse of, like, what a schedule looks like for you guys. But instead of this one was just, like, there's no cameras, you got to, shoot all these different things. And so I was like, I mean, when I got back, like, it took me about, like, 3 days to get my equilibrium back because it was literally going on 3.5 hours of sleep for 6 days, walking miles and just being outside, on this mission. So I can imagine how, like, your sleep schedules are probably just all out of whack, especially during this season.
Dude, by the end of our travel seasons, I mean, it's like you just you're just running on half cylinders pretty much, and you're half crazy and cranky and pissed off at the world. But it is what it is. We do it because we love it. We could probably go find something to make a whole lot more money if we wanted to, but golly, it sure is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
dude, there'll be, like, we're due at least a couple. Like, I promise you, it may happen during elk season. I don't know, but it'll for sure happen during deer season. Like, Jordan and I, we will get into an argument. We will yell at each other, probably call each other names, and then a minute or 2 minutes later, we'll be good. Like, all right, you good? Yeah, we're good. And then we just go back.
2 years ago, we were in Texas. I was ready to fight. If he hadn't locked the door in the truck, I was going to pull him out of there.
I was in there and said, "Dude, you got to calm down." It was bad.
Yeah, I mean, when you work that closely to somebody, it don't really matter. I mean, Gary and I have had several shouting matches over the past 5-6 years. I mean, we've never come to blows, but I mean, I feel like we've come damn close 3 or 4 times, and it just is what it is, man. I mean, you love each other, and you're like brothers. I mean, you're gonna disagree, and you're gonna tussle every now and then, but at the end of the day, it's like, hey, man, we're here. We get to do something pretty awesome for a living. It's like that one, you say 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes after, you're like, hey, my bad, dude.
Hey, I'm sorry. I love you. Give me a hug. We'll get through this.
That's the same for me.
Look, like that Texas deal escalated, and then it ends up like me and Jordan are both standing outside the truck. And then we both finally calmed down. We got back in the truck, and we didn't even make it back to the Blacktop Road. And we were like, "I'm sorry, man. Yeah, I'm sorry. We're good."
It's like most of the time for us, it's like we have that argument, and then it's like, what are we even arguing about?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Well, that's just kind of fun. It's one of those things. It's like, isn't it funny how just like your human nature is like you spend so much time with somebody, like they won't even do anything, and it's just like I'll just be like sitting over here. It's like, okay, I've seen Charlie 15 days in a row, and him picking up his water jug or whatever. It's just like, golly, like how he's drinking that water right now just pisses me off.
Just the presence of being around someone that much.
And then like when Charlie and I first moved up here too, like we were living together too, so we'd go off, we'd be 5 weeks or like 5 days on the road, then literally get off the road, hop out of the van, get in the same car to drive to the same house just to like be together. So it's like you got to have that little like downtime. But what do y'all do? Like, what do y'all like to do like in y'all's downtime besides getting out in the woods again just to go hunting?
Yeah, you're not allowed to say hunting, so answer this in a different manner.
I have a garden. Wildflowers.
What are you growing?
What you growing, Jordan?
Oh, no, I'm just kidding. Man, I love fishing.
He's like, I love fishing.
I was going to say we go fishing, but I was like, that's about the same thing.
You can't say that either.
What country folk do in the summer?
He's like, well, I go to the grocery store. That's about it.
Well, I'm trying to think. If I'm not going hunting and I'm not going fishing,
I'm probably just sitting at the house. I wish I could afford an Xbox, so I like playing them things, but I ain't had one for a while.
Yeah.
Well, when you get, I got one I can donate to you, Jordan, so we can play a little bit. How about that?
Come on, son. We'll play that Call of Duty.
You guys big football fans?
Play.
I don't know if he heard you, Matt. Go ahead, Lake. What were you about to say?
What was it?
No,
I was just laughing. I was just laughing at the thought of Jordan being a gamer. I can't see it.
It can happen, man. It happened to Charlie. It took over, dude.
That's what it is, dude.
But Matt, what'd you ask?
Are y'all big football fans?
Yeah, I mean, I like college football. I don't follow the NFL. I mean, I'll watch a game if it's on, and but as far as I love watching college football, no doubt.
Y'all both big state fans, right?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's if being a state fan, I tell people growing up a Mississippi State fan's like it's good character development because you learn how to deal with loss. You know, I mean, you learn how to deal with loss and disappointment, but. Yeah, it's my alma mater, so I got to support my Bulldogs.
Well, us being Auburn fans, it's another lesson. It's like you obviously don't get a trophy for everything. You know what I mean? It's one of those lessons, like you said.
Yeah, dude. But we love Starkville, man. Like this, and I like if you could legally pick your like second favorite SEC team, which I don't think that's legal, but like. I would say that my second was probably State, just because of the sheer fact. Yeah. One, I like going there. The people remind me, like, there's a lot of same parallels between, like, people at Mississippi State and people at Auburn. I guess with that big ag, culture there and stuff like that. So,
bunch of good old boys trying to pass, you know?
Bunch of Carhartt wearing.
Yeah, bunch of
shirt.
Yeah.
Lots of Carhartt.
Yeah, lots of Carhartt and some Wranglers and some
Bud Light.
Yeah.
And some Drake vest.
Dude.
Yeah, at every football game, the student section, the guys are going to be wearing blue jeans, work boots, some kind of long sleeve button up, and a Drake vest. Every game.
It's the uniform, man. That's the Mississippi State uniform. So I mean,
and I'm not knocking it. I wore it like all the time when I was up there. I was in it.
No, 100%. You got to blend in. So, but yeah, I mean, what are some other things, guys? Y'all got any questions for these guys or anything?
Is there ever a time where you go out and hunt for fun that you're like, oh shit, I wish I had that camera? Where you kill something that you wish you got on camera?
He said no.
Nope.
That has never happened.
I mean, it's ran across my mind before. Then I'm like, I probably wouldn't have killed that, whatever it was, if I had a camera.
I can remember the first time that I killed a turkey off camera after I was working for Primos. And the turkey came in, and he got in gun range, and he was in gun range for about 30 seconds, maybe a minute. And then it's like the thought just hit me. I was like, oh, I don't have to wait for someone to tell me to shoot. Boom! And, I just kind of...
Yeah, let's talk about... So obviously, you guys have a TV show, and like, if anybody's ever watched a TV show, you guys, because of the knowledge you have, the experience you have, you allow us to watch it and make it look easy. But like, what are some things that people don't get to see on television that, taking the filming part out of it, which I know that makes it extremely difficult. What are some things that, let's just talk about your elk hunt. What are some things you got to do to prepare for an elk hunt, just to be ready for the terrain, or just to put yourself in a position to even get the camera shot?
I mean, they say you're supposed to work out, but I don't really do that. So I just go out there and huff and puff and just hope I can hang out with everybody and don't get left behind, But no, I mean, it's a lot of preparation that goes into it. You got to make sure all your equipment's working right, and everything's up snuff as far as like equipment. Like I was saying, on that, and just make sure all your gear's right. You got socks. Socks are a big deal. You got to have good socks.
Yeah, get nothing probably like climbing up a mountain with a raw ankle.
So you're not running up and down your neighborhood with like a big rucksack on, getting ready for an elk hunt like they say you got to on TV and stuff.
Not like Cameron Haynes.
You're not Cam Haynes in it, Cam Haynes style.
Yeah, Lake does that every day. I try doing that. I'm just too lazy.
I do go to the I do go to the gym just because it honestly does make it easier on me during the elk season. But you don't have to do all respect to Cam Haynes. I mean, the guy's a monster. But,
yeah.
you don't have to do that to get around out there. I mean, you need to be in like reasonable shape, but I get to like
that's good to know.
To your point about the what.
I said that's good to know.
We're gonna clip that and tag Cam Haynes just to let you know, okay?
Look, I did. The guy's like the man is a model. He's good at what he does.
For sure.
But like to your point about, I know exactly what you mean about when it comes up on TV. It makes it look easy. A lot of that is just the time constraints that we have. Like if you have an outdoor channel show has to be, it's like 22 minutes and some change, like 22 minutes and a few seconds, and every show has to be that exact length. You know, it's a 30-minute time slot, but when you take out commercial times, you're left with 22 minutes and that. And so if you have an elk hunt that took us
2 or 3 days,
2 weeks,
yeah.
2 weeks to make.
Jeez.
You have to put that 2 weeks into 22 minutes. So when you condense all of that into 22 minutes, you're like, God, that happened fast.
It
that
damn
was
sure
easy.
makes it look easy.
Yeah,
man.
and it's just like, hey, here's the highlight reel of the whole weekend or the whole
Exactly.
2 weeks. So yeah, that's
Exactly.
yeah.
So there's a show that aired this year. It's on this season. It just aired like a few weeks ago. And in that episode, Will Walker kills an elk, and then I kill an elk. If you watch the episode, you're like, man, they killed 2 elk in one day. That's crazy.
Yeah.
We had like 2 days left of season, and we had been struggling to find elk. And then, you can ask, like, Jordan was having to talk me off a cliff. I was like, dude, we're not going to have we're not going to be able to make enough shows. Yeah, I'm really bad to stress myself out. I was like, we're not going to be able to make the episodes we need to make. What are we going to do? This, that, and the other. And then, boom, we find a big herd of elk, and we managed to kill 2 out of it. And, I mean, so if you watch that 22-minute show, you're like, man, that's easy. Boom, boom, 2 elk like it's nothing. It was a lot more than that, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that definitely answers my question. Because I mean, it's so funny and that comes with all TV shows and all Instagram feeds or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like you're just getting the highlight reel. You're not getting to see the actual blood, sweat, and tears that went into that moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean it's a lot. It truly is.
Yeah, that's why. Well, like even going into that, like because y'all have been constrained to like these formats for so long on Outdoor Channel, there's been like a rise of like all these different the rise of YouTube and vlogging and stuff like that. Like you have guys like like the Hunting Public guys, and you have even Dave Owens with Pinhoti Project or Seek One, like these guys, and they've kind of almost taken their own little spins of like, hey, this is just kind of like how we do it, and it's kind of weird because it's now showing that the outdoor lifestyle or hunting, and it's like, hey, like they'll even like film a lot of the failures, or it's like, hey, we went hunting for 4 days and nothing happened, and it's just kind of like that realism. Like what do you think is kind of the rise of that kind of sort of thing, if y'all had any insight on that?
Man, I think it's just people getting tired of people know what's, authentic, if you're being honest about something and like that. And like a lot of this, outdoor TV has gotten to the point where if you don't kill the biggest deer you've ever killed, then you haven't done anything. Or if you don't kill a 1.5-inch spurred turkey, he doesn't count. Like, I think a lot of people are just wanting to get back to what they love about their passion with it. It's something they go, I don't go hunting to go shoot a big deer. If it happens, good. Yes, I want to kill one. It's always better to kill a big one. It's not better, but it's always cool when that happens, No,
100%.
And, but like the reason I go is because I have a passion for it, and that's the number one reason. I don't go there to kill a big deer. I don't go to kill a big turkey. And if you ever see me trying to pass a small turkey to shoot a bigger longbeard, if both of them are longbeards, I am smoking something.
That's great.
Oh, that's actually a great answer.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, like you said, it's the so take for instance, I think it was like Meat Eater last year. They put out a short video where a guy shot an elk and he made a bad shot, and I can't remember if he recovered it later or he didn't recover it at all. And some people threw him some hate over that. They were like, "Man, I can't believe you would show that. You didn't get the elk." I'm like, I applauded that. Not that I wasn't happy that the guy made a bad shot, but I'm like, look, that happens whether you want it to or not. You know, I mean, obviously you never try to make a bad shot. That's why you shoot your bow or make sure your gun sighted in. That's why you put in the work. But mistakes happen, and that's real. And like what Jordan said, I think people are just being more and more drawn to authenticity, and that's a lot of what those shows are, like the Hunting Public. That's just real. And that's why I think people like it. I'm a big fan of it.
No, I mean, and to even that too, like what you were talking about, like it's kind of funny that like, you know, not only like on a political scale, like a lot of like, you know, we live in a world now where a lot of people don't like the fact that people go out and kill animals and stuff, and that's an issue in itself. But there's a lot of issues even, I feel like, within the hunting community. Like we all can't even get on the same page because you post a picture of a deer and some jackass is going to get on there and say like, well, it wasn't big enough, or like, oh, you killed it too early or whatever. And it's like,
oh, you killed it on private land or whatever.
And it's just like all these like hate, like we got to get past the fact in the outdoor community itself. It's just like, dude, just quit hating on people, dude. If you want to, you know, harvest a doe and take a picture with it, be proud of that thing. It doesn't matter. Like, and you know, you shouldn't have to like ask, you know, or get anybody else's really approval, I guess. And so it's just like, I see that all the time, and it's just kind of like, it's irritating because it's just like, man, why can't we just support people who are actually going out and enjoying the sport and not just hating on someone because I would have done it differently, or you didn't do it right, or you could have done this better. Like
I was even hesitant to post like my first buck because it wasn't a monster buck, but it was my first buck. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, man, you know, it's not like real big or whatever. And I remember Gary was like, dude, who cares? It's your first deer. Like that's awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Man, I popped me a little basket rack last year.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, man, like take yesterday. I can't remember who brought it up, but we were taking a picture after our dove hunt. I can't. Somebody, I don't know.
I think it might have been me.
But it was like, is it going to look bad that there's all of us here and we've only got like 10 doves? I said, we're out here dove hunting, and we've had us a fun afternoon. If someone wants to give me crap because we didn't kill that many doves, I'm not worried about what they think anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, you were totally right. Isn't it just funny though? Like we have that in the back of our minds about like obviously if you're doing something, you know, illegal or unethical, like obviously don't be posting none of that or whatever.
Or doing it at all.
You're asking.
Don't be doing it anyway.
Yeah. Don't do it at all, and also don't get indicted or don't get arrested. Like, so it's just like, but on stuff like that, that's just with social media in general, because I feel like we do live in this highlight reel world that we want to put on this front that, you know, I got this grand thing I'm doing or whatever, and you're almost conscious about, well, what are other people going to think about this or whatever, and so it's a constant battle with everything. It's a weird dynamic that we live in now, but yeah, I mean. I don't really have. I mean,
I got a couple more questions for y'all. They can be kind of quick, but what is something that you would tell a fan of ours that's listening to you guys that, you know, they're thinking about getting into hunting for the first time and they just can't get over that bump? You know, like what's something that you've learned over the years, or something that you could tell a young hunter or just a new hunter that would be the reason that they go give it a shot?
Don't have any expectations. Just go out and experience it. That's my number one thing. Don't expect, like we were just talking about, the way the social world has became, you know, like if you're wanting to go hunting, just go. And if you don't like it, that's fine. But if you like it, make sure you keep that in your heart, you know, why you like it.
Yeah, totally.
I'm about to cry, Jordan.
I would say don't let yourself, because again, we're talking about this social world we live in, but it's so prevalent now. Don't let everything you see on social media, don't let that intimidate you from not going. And if you go and you don't kill anything, that is not a failure. You know what I mean? Like, you just go out there and just do it. Like, just go out there and do it. That's where the fun is, going out there and figuring it out. It doesn't matter if it takes you years or a couple weeks to finally find some success. But I mean, the success is going out there and doing it. So I mean, just don't be held back. Just go.
Yeah, And like Lake and I, for instance, I mean, I keep bringing up turkeys, but it's what's so passionate in our hunting lifestyle. But like, I mean, you got to realize, like, we hunted between the both of us probably at least 70 days apiece this year. And I mean,
I thought 50 was a lot.
Yeah, I mean, that's 2 weeks in a month, you know, and we saw, I don't know how many turkeys, but the batting average is way low.
Yeah,
right.
No, it is.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of days, like, I just go out there. I mean, I was really just going out there to learn and enjoy. And then, honestly, like, if something was to happen or there was an interaction, that was just a bonus.
Yeah.
You know, and so and then when it comes together, that rewarding, you know, that you know, reward that you get from that is just like, man, this was awesome. Like, I've been out here putting the time in, trying to learn, and when it does come together, it's great. It's just kind of like, and it's just weird, kind of going back to like the more political kind of things. Like, I think there's kind of some stigmas like that come with hunting, and that's because I think people are uneducated. But are there some of those, like, you know, what are some stigmas that, like, you think that are rolling around in the world that people kind of need to be more updated on, or even like knowledgeable about? Because I think people we're so opinionated now that we're staunch in our opinion, and it doesn't even matter what anyone else says, and it's kind of like, well, yeah, okay, you feel that way, but I still feel this way. But like,
or maybe you could even explain like why hunting is actually important and not just like something that people just go out and do. You know what I mean? Like, why conservation is even important to someone that doesn't understand.
Sure. I mean, part of it, I mean, it's like the amount. I mean, I'm not going to try to start stating actual figures because I would get them wrong, but like however much money from hunting license sales and conservation organizations like Ducks Unlimited and the National Wild Turkey Federation, like all of that money that gets put into those places by hunters and by people out hunting all goes back reinvested into the land and the wildlife. I mean, it's black and white, you know, clear as day that there's a lot of the resources that we still have because of hunters and hunters, you know, getting out there and experiencing and enjoying it. And of course, that's happening because they enjoy hunting, but it goes hand in hand. If you don't have people doing it, you know, supporting these organizations, supporting the wildlife the wildlife departments in every state, then you would see, you know, the natural resources that we have, you'd see them start to dwindle. I mean, that's just how it works.
Do y'all know who created or founded the national parks in the U.S.?
I don't.
Wasn't it?
I mean, I do. But
I think it was Teddy Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt, right?
Correct. And you know why he did that?
Good job, boys.
Why is that, Jordan?
It was to protect the resource. And if he was a hunter, and that just speaks for itself in my mind that, you know, the hunters, if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have those places to go enjoy, you know?
Yeah, totally.
So I haven't met a guy yet that is truly, truly passionate about hunting that doesn't want to protect the game he's after.
And isn't that the funny thing is kind of like, because the biggest proponents of conservation is not even only financially but mentally is hunters. Like, I mean, I listen to you know, a lot of guys like the Turkey Doc or Mike Chamberlain, and it's just like listening to him talk about. I mean, he's a huge turkey hunter, yet he's a wildlife biologist, and like he's on the front lines, you know, fighting for these animals, but yet he still enjoys the harvest. So it's just kind of like, and a lot of hunters have that mentality. Yeah, there's some guys, just like anything, you know, some bad apples, you know, gonna mess it up for a lot of other people in the kind of how people look at hunting, so to speak. But it is true that just like, if people need to know, especially the listeners, it's like, dude, the people who are hunting are the biggest proponents of conservation and want to preserve wildlife, and also want to preserve the places that they go, you know, to hunt and harvest these wildlife areas. So it's a weird catch-22.
I know everybody always says that you hunt because you want to eat what you bring in, but the facts are facts. You know, I mean, I do eat a lot of wild game, but I also buy meat at the grocery store, you know, and but at the same time, people need, in my opinion, to understand how that takes place. You know, it's all the same.
For sure.
How you get meat in the grocery store and how I get meat in my freezer is the same process. It's probably a little bit more humane on my end as far as hunting.
Honestly, you're right. I mean, you see those documentaries and look at those, how like they're doing chickens and processing plants and stuff, and it's like,
buy one of the trucks and all chicken fly feathers everywhere.
Yeah. And not to mention how good wild game is. Like, I mean, there's some I haven't even tried yet. Like when y'all go get that, if y'all bring back some of that elk meat, which I'm hoping y'all make that happen. But when Charlie and I come down and hang out with y'all next time, y'all gotta let us eat some elk because I've honestly never eaten it.
I've had some elk jerky. I like it a lot.
Yeah. Gary liked my Duff poppers that I left in the windshield yesterday.
Yeah, that was kind of. Yeah, he put
we've heat them up somehow.
We've been hunting all day, and he had them up in the windshield. And I was like, "What are those?" And he's like, "Poppers." And I was like, "You gonna eat those?" He goes, "Yeah, they've been essentially in the microwave.
They're fresh.
I cooked them last night. They're hot now." And I was like, "All right," and they were great. They were good. That's funny.
One thing I gotta say, because it popped in my mind when y'all were talking, y'all were asking about stigmas that I would relay to somebody are not true. It is not, absolutely not a numbers game. Hunting is never, well, let's see just how many I can kill.
Yeah.
That's not, you know what I mean? And that's a big thing nowadays. Everyone, some people want to beat their chest and say that they killed the limit of turkeys, or they killed over the limit of turkeys, and they think, that if you kill one turkey and you're happy, congratulations. I mean, you've succeeded. That's one stigma that I can't stand is how many can you kill?
Yeah. Man, you just triggered a hot spot in me talking about people killing over the limit of turkeys at Galilee. I ain't getting started on it.
Yeah. No, I mean, it is true. I mean, I hate to see it, and I just hate to see how, because because I'm like y'all, and I know both of y'all like turkey hunting more than anything, but I just I want to be able to do that down the road. Like, I want to be able to be 60 and take my grandkids out to do it and stuff like that. And it's just it's a very delicate. The fact that turkeys just survive in general is incredible because, everything is after them. All the critters that eat the eggs, and all of their predators that they have. And it's just the fact that they can survive and we still get to hunt them. And women, and with all, due respect to everyone in the conservation world who's done that to ensure that we can do it right now. And so it was kind of weird with the whole COVID thing because even I saw y'all probably had in Mississippi, but a lot of numbers spiked up, obviously, because there was more hunters in the wood, which is a good thing. I'm glad more people are getting out and trying it. But it also, I wonder if y'all think there's going to be any impacts for the next few years on the population because there were so many hunters out there during, the first kind of stretch of COVID when everybody was off work.
Honestly, yes. On public lands, especially, I think it's going to be. I hope I'm wrong.
I do too.
I think it's going to be a rough road to hoe ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I hope that I'm wrong, but I think that there will be some negative effects.
Yeah. I mean, I hate it too because, even Tennessee, they already dropped their bag limit, but, to one less bird. But, I mean, honestly, it's pretty generous enough, killing 4 birds in a season. If you can hit that limit, good for you. But I know a lot of people did because everybody was in the woods every day. So a seasoned turkey hunter who usually has a weekend that he can go in, but now he's got 7 days to go. I mean, I knew some certified turkey slayers who were, hitting that limit in week 2. And so it's just kind of man, it's just, ridiculous to see how many of those, birds were affected. But, I'm glad more people were getting into the woods to do that. But at the same time, there's always going to be drawbacks with it. So
I got one more question for y'all. And, we always like to ask our guests, and especially guys like you guys, you get doing what you do, you get to meet some high-profile people here and there, now and then, and so we're going to give you all a chance to flex a little bit. Who's the most famous person in your contacts on your phone?
Hmm.
Well, they don't have to be in your contacts. It's just someone you've worked with that you were like, damn,
first name basis,
sitting next to this guy, the shit,
I've got Charlie Muncaster's phone number. He's pretty active.
That's actually a lie. We hadn't shared numbers yet, Lake, but we can after this.
Man, you just blew me out, man.
I'm trying to think, man. Probably like
Yeah, go ahead.
like the most famous person associated with him. We got to be in a camp with Steph Curry's dad one time.
Oh, Del Curry. That's
cool.
pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah.
Like, what
I
about
would, Uncle Ted.
Oh, Ted Nugent, huh?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
bro.
that's probably that.
I listened to that podcast, and that dude is a trip.
He's something. He's something. He is the nicest guy, quite honestly.
Well, guys,
Yeah.
we appreciate y'all kind of just sitting in and hanging out with us, and I hope y'all's trip to New Mexico goes really well, and I know y'all got tags, and I just hope y'all have fun, enjoy it, and everything, and we'll be on the horn. We're looking forward to coming down to hunt with y'all this deer season down in Mississippi. Charlie and I are getting amped up about that trip. Thank y'all for inviting us, and we can't wait to get down there with y'all.
Come on, son. Come on. Sooner the better.
Coming to the zoo.
The zoo, baby.
Come on.
I've only heard.
You need to move your wedding back another couple months so you can come early.
I'll talk to the
He'll
fiance.
move it again. How about
Yeah, I've already moved it once. I'd like David. I don't know if I want to do it again. So we'll just bank on coming a couple weeks after. So, but we appreciate y'all guys so much for real, and I'm glad we can call y'all friends. I know Charlie and Jordan haven't met yet. We were supposed to yesterday, but
We're gonna be sharing some diet tips here coming up.
yeah, I enjoy hanging out with the both of you guys, and y'all are good dudes, and thank y'all for giving us an afternoon of your time.
Yeah, boys, enjoyed it.
Yeah, enjoyed the conversation. I appreciate y'all.
All right, boys, be good.
Yeah, man. We'll see you.